Hello, welcome to Texas Lone Wolf MGTOW, your source for Red Pill Truth. Today we're going to talk about distrust, and I'm going to be mixing some other topics into the distrust video. All right. Now, what's going to have to happen is I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen is I'm going to be laying out all the stuff out in the open, wide open, so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. Now, Now, before we get started, let me go compile some stuff real quick and then we'll be right back. Give me a couple seconds. Alrighty, I'm back, everybody. Yeah, 5 stages of distrust, how it destroys your relationship, so to speak. Now, um, many people do OnlyFans and all that. The internet has actually become a hot topic, hot place. What's posted out there, you can never get removal. It's impossible to remove images of yourself off that web. It's impossible, really, virtually. I mean, if somebody go upload it to this one area of the web, then it's visible to the other area. You know, pretty much what's out there stays out there unless um, the company server sees it and just go ahead and sanitize it and start all anew to make it better, make that server better without any obscene stuff out there. And social media has actually became embraced by society. It actually altered society in a way that you know allies are formed and then destroyed on social media, so to speak. And 5 stages of distrust, how it destroyed your relationships. Now, by nature, I'm a pretty trusting person. Do not trust anybody. Nobody's your friend out there. Not even your family members. Your friend, not even your family members, your friend. Not even your family members. And under normal circumstances, tend to extend trust to others, expecting they will reciprocate it in kind. Um, right now, at this point in time, just after I read that sentence, right now at this point in time, assume nobody's going to reciprocate the favors. That's just what kind of world we live in. It's gotten more and more darker and more dense over the few years after several hiccups in the society and all that. So yes. So if the other person proves to be untrustworthy, a lot of people are going to be this. Okay. A lot of people are going to be untrustworthy. Some people don't have your interests at heart. And then feel to dial back the level of trust you place in him and her. In relationships, listen, they're going to be just like butterflies in your stomach, okay? Some people are going to play with their feelings. Some people are going to play with their emotions. Don't trust anybody. If you get in a relationship, keep your guard up because it's very important these days and age. Anyways, now, if it's a man dating a woman, the man needs to keep his guard up. So the statistics have proven when women get out of a relationship, they can move on to a new guy without any qualms and tend to bring baggage into a new relationship with the guy. if you know what I'm trying to say right here. So, excuse me. Anyways, now, um, experience, anyways, I found it usually it isn't caused by a significant breach of trust. Listen, that will ruin anything that comes your way. All right. Did you know that that'll ruin anything that comes your way? All right. Although these are the ones that I grab for immediate attention, but rather several smaller instances over time. A broken promise here, missed deadline there, and a pattern of unreliable, unethical, incompetent, and uncaring behavior comes from the trend. All right. So we live in today's society where you can't trust anybody nowadays. If you could try to go prove with this beyond a shadow of a doubt, and you're going to get yourself stepped on. I mean, it is what it is. Okay, you're going to get stepped on. Life is not fair. So distrust doesn't happen overnight. It develops progressively through stages. We can recognize these stages when we're in them. We have a chance of addressing the situation before distrust take root. So yes, number one is going to be doubt. The first stage of distrust begins with doubt. You start experiencing slight uncertainty about someone's trustworthiness that causes you to pause a bit. So what I'm going to say right here, okay, you can't trust everybody, not even your own family, not even your own cousins out there. Okay? Everybody got a few bad apples in their circle of friends that I would not even want to trust, so to speak. All right? I don't know where the person is or how you came across, but that one person used to be crazy about you, wanted to be like you and everything, and they were just jealous because you get all the attention, they don't get it. And sometimes things happen, circumstances does happen, okay? It might be that nagging doubt in the back of your mind that you can't seem to dismiss. That right there is your intuition talking to you, or something doesn't feel right about the situation, or even the thought you can't put your finger on it exactly. Listen, if your gut is saying something, trust your gut instinct, okay? Now, suspicion. If you're in doubt, unresolved grows into suspicion over time. Suspicion is belief without proof. When you start seeing a pattern of behavior, that may indicate lack of trust, but you can't quite enough prove to make it a firm conclusion. Your trust radar is letting you know something is wrong. So anxiety kicks in. Third stage of distrust is anxiety, a feeling of apprehension, of uneasiness. Often that manifests physically when dealing with someone you can't quite trust. You may experience nervousness and rapid heartbeat, anger, knotted stomach, even disgust. That's when you need to sever the ties immediately, right there, so to speak. Fear is in the point of relationship. Distrust can rise to the point where you're afraid to show vulnerability. Get your guard up. You have to experience repeated breaches of trust and have grown to distrust another person to the point you're afraid of your emotional well-being. So that's when that right there is where you become vulnerable. You're going to have to tell that. Listen, sometimes being nice to a person or see a good in them will cost you a lot in the long run. It's better to dig the weed up by the roots in a fertile ground to completely eliminate the problem forever. Okay? Now, self-protection. As a result of the fear you experience, you move into a state of self-protection. And you put up walls in your relationship to prevent other person from getting close to you. And that's necessary. And this act of self-preservation reduces your vulnerability and also cements a state of distrust in the relationship. Get out. If you are in that, get out. Get out of here. Trust is the cord that holds two people together in a relationship. When it's severed, the disconnection occurs. All right? So when you can no longer be vulnerable with the other person, you begin to experience different things in your relationship. In this book, Beyond Boundaries. No, don't trust again. There's a book, Beyond Boundaries. There's a book out there. You can read it if you want, but what I'm telling you is, if the snake bites you once, the snake will bite you again. I said that. The wolf says that. All right. If the snake bites you once, the snake will bite you again, so to speak. And withdrawal. Instead of acting carefree, which is normal in a trusting relationship, you become more reserved in sharing personal information. You quit taking risks in a relationship because the safety net has been removed. Loneliness and a feeling of dead or frozen inside is common. And movement to task. To compensate for the lack of trust in the relationship, you may overinvest yourself in tasks related to hobbies, works, church, other activities. So if you stay active in the other parts of your life because you find it easier more than to connect, you shut down the personal part of your relationship with the other person. This here is the effects of trying to see good in a person before you see the red flags and the benefits of the doubt. This route right there will get you heartbroken in a heartbeat and used and disgusted. The unbalanced giver relationship. Townsend points out it's common for a person to be the giver in all relationship to avoid receiving. This right here is where you get used and then exploited. Being a giver allows you to remain safe from being vulnerable with the other person, but you will listen and help and guide others. But withholding, let others help you. Being the giver also manifests of it codependent relationships. That's a big no-no. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're an unbalanced giver, you're going to be used, and often in a bad way. Bad habits. Trust issue can often lead to problematic behavioral problems in your life. It's easy to suppress our emotional feelings over eating, drinking too much, or other addictive behaviors. Distrust can spread through relationships like wildfire. What starts as a small ember of doubt can mushroom into a full blaze of distrust. If you want to take to address this early, the best way to prevent distrust from taking root is proactively focus on building trust. Trust must be continually developed and nurtured throughout the course of a relationship, if not when it's just been damaged. So I'm going to tie in this article about social media can destroy mental health. What can we do about it? Right here. So I'm going to go ahead and blow this here up. So, uh, anyways, I'm going to go ahead and back that down. Okay. Sometimes I need a break, sometimes a week to recharge, reset, deep clean my space, digital detox. Mia Lucky, 24-year-old self-described intuitive massage therapist based in Dallas, tweeted in March to her 24,000 followers, "I really want to be quiet and still for like a week." That's quite a bit of people right there. 24,000 followers. That's quite a bit. Alrighty. 9-year-old Lucky had her own MySpace account, and Alvin the Chipmunk's fan page, influx of followers who cared about what she had to say. Posting became addictive after Lucky started high school, where she admitted she felt like an outcast among her peers. She found validation to express herself on platforms like Tumblr, Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter. Okay, right here, I read this to you, okay? By the time she graduated, Lucky was glued to her phone and social media, where she got sucked into dark rabbit holes of political views, among other topics, as she endlessly scrolled through her feed. She was spending between 3 to 6 hours a day on social media and no longer felt validating. Instead, it had her feeling anxious, unsatisfied, like a zombie. So when you get caught up in a loop of scrolling, it's hard to break away and witness the experience of the real world, she tells self. She told self. So, now I'm gonna tie in some other stuff in on this topic that I'm talking about. Okay. Social media becomes an inescapable part of our lives. Recent polls that 72% of Americans use one social media platform. Adults 18 to 29, that number jumped up around 84%. Estimate for teens hover around 90%. Many of us turn to these platforms to mentally escape via cute cat videos or try to connect with friends in hilarious group chats. We all felt the surge of serotonin simply like can produce. But data, some people can experience the opposite effect and end up feeling isolated, detached, and sad over the few years. Studies showing that correlation between the time a person spends using social media and the increased risk of mental health problems such as depression, anxiety, body image issues, self-harm, and deletion ideation. Research also showed that feelings of intense stress catalyzed by COVID-19 pandemic made us more dependent on social media networks. Well, anyways, you get the picture, okay? Say the shift intensified mental health risk. So how harmful social media can be, what can we do about it? Matter of hot debate. And I had some people telling me to go get TikTok. I ain't getting no damn TikTok. I've already got 4 social media platforms. On 2 I use on a regular basis anyways. The other one I don't even fart with. If you know what I'm saying. I don't fart with the other 2, so I got 4 of them. I have Rumble and Twitch, and YouTube, Facebook. That's about it. I play online video games on Facebook most of the time. So, anyways, I that helped me interact with people. I post about cat comments and talking about the kitties I rescued and all so forth like that. I love animals. I love cats. So let's get back to this video right here, so to speak. So there have been numerous studies, conclusions surrounding social media mental health impact. One suggests technology has use, which includes social media, is no more harmful to teens than innocuous activities such as eating potatoes. However, you look at the research that has been done with the highest quality measures. As a large example, the results are very clear. According to a professor of psychology of San Diego State University, who has authored more than 120 scientific publications in the books, including IGN, Why Today, Super Connected Kids Are Growing Up Less Rebellious, More Tolerant, Less Happy, and Completely Unprepared for Adulthood. Wow. What this means for the rest of us. Time is linked to depression, loneliness, unhappiness, she tells herself. The professor told that, okay? So this is very, very informative right here. So what I also want to cover is some illicit activities that have been happening. And, the underage been doing it for quite some time. So we're going to go ahead and continue with this here. One of the latest studies examines technology influence on teens' overall mental being, led by using advanced techniques, evolving data set from more than 300,000 teens from the U.S. and U.K. Wow. We're talking about Britain and America. Okay. Research concluded that girls specifically linked worse than mental health, increased social media usage greater than poor mental health, and binge drinking, hard drug use, other alarming risk factors that you don't mean as dangerous as, say, guzzling large amounts of alcohol at a young age. No, but they do stupid challenges such as putting their arms on a burner and eating Tide Pods, which I think is stupid. What happened to common sense? I mean, people in my generation would tell you, we did not do stupid stuff like that. Before social media ever came around, we did stupid stuff outside, such as putting a board up and putting a brick under the board and ramping with our bicycles going fast. Just having fun. And then just getting the tires on the gravel or something. We did fun things back then, back in the old days before social media ever took off. Those were the social media of the Gen X time. And of course, out in the country, having fun, putting some firecrackers in a patty of cow manure and watching that cow manure splatter after they go off. It's fun. I did that growing up. It was fun. So, anyways, amount of persons since been on social media can help research predict the gravity of mental health consequences associated with it. So really, they're talking about social media, how people get depressed and stuff. And the problem is it's limited to teens. It's not just teens we're talking about. We're talking about the adults 18 on up to 30. They say 30, but I think the age number is higher. I think the numbers age number is higher than this. I would say probably 18 through. My guess would be 18 through on upward to about, on up. I would say plus. 18 plus. I'm not going to list any numbers because anybody can be depressed from social media. Anybody can, really. I don't know why they put an age number up here. For what? I mean, let me read this to you, okay? This problem isn't limited to teens. In a 2021 observation study from the University of Arkansas, researchers analyzed social media habits of a national sample of nearly 1,000 people between the ages of 18 and 30 and found significant correlation between social media use and developing depression after 6-month follow-up. Why did they put 30? Listen, anybody can get depressed. It's not just a 30-year-olds. Okay? Some of the same researchers have completed similar preliminary research that appears to show parallel results with social media exposure and developing anxiety. You can't just cap it at 30 years old, okay? Older people get depression. It's natural. If you know what I'm saying, I'm just drinking some water. Now, the reason why some experts are so worried about social media mental health effects compared to other disruptive technologies like past TV, radio, yes, even printing presses like newspapers, precedent pervasive influence in a way that forces us to compare ourselves to others. Decades ago, research found that if you left a woman alone in a room with a stack of magazines and let her leaf through them, her body image, her self-esteem tanked. Okay? Associate Director of Clinic Training at the University of Pennsylvania Department of Psychology tells Self the difference those magazines weren't in people's hands 24/7. That's a difference. Social media is always on 24/7. There's never a day where social media is never alive. It's always alive. It's always online. Okay? She says they weren't the last thing they looked at before they went to sleep. Of course not. They had newspapers, we had magazines. First thing they looked at in the morning was they checked at the lunch. I mean, you know, they looked at newspapers. They turned on the radio, listened to the news, and listened to politics. Listen to what, the broadcaster said on the radio. Public health researcher Brian, PhD from Incomodine of Public Health and Human Science at Oregon State University, who co-authored the aforementioned University of Arkansas studies, described the attachment of social media as an opportunity cost. Now, this right here is going to tie into the next topic I'm fixing to discuss after the end of this here, okay? It's going to tie into the next topic I'm attaching to this. Now, I'm bringing awareness on this, okay? They need to check and scroll and share some and rob some time that we could be used to achieve something personal, like rewarding, like pursuing an artistic, athlete, or spiritual goal. True. Well, I choose to make content to help enrich many lives, okay? Armies of psychologists, designers, and developers are committing to making a particular platform feel pretty much like a party, such like a party. One you can feel need to be a part of, one you can leave until 2 hours have gone by. You have absolutely nothing to show for it. Now, okay, it has distressing effects. All right? It can have distressing effects. Alrighty, now I'm back to the program, okay? For BIPOC and marginalized people who see and sometimes involuntary repeat violence against communities, okay? Videos, headlines such as police brutality against people of color, violence against other minorities, usually rising during a pandemic. Social media can be even more daunting and damaging. Okay? People that need to use social media responsibly. Don't put something out there that you're not going to be able to get off or get back. Now, Here's this. Now, you think this is bad right here? There's another topic I'm adding into this video that I'm going to raise the negative effects of this illicit process that's happening all around. And trust me, the cyberspace is not where I want to put any images that you cannot get off, okay? One new study reveals that people of color, teens especially, who either experience direct racial discrimination or witness racial discrimination of others, more likely have symptoms of depression or anxiety. Notes, okay? An MD, a child adolescent psychiatrist of Massachusetts General Hospital of Harvard Medical School, chief medical officer of BME Health, mobile mental health platform for teens. In her practice, she hears teens who struggle mentally for weeks or for months after learning about a hate crime on social media, seeing acts of violence against their communities. Some describes the weight that hangs over them, making them feel jumpy, restless, or on the edge, she tells self. Yes, social media can have negative implication. And also a breeding ground for bullies out there. Lucky recalls being in the exact predicament when she took a break from social media in May 2020 after unknown was, not being cooperative with the authorities in Minnesota in a rogue organization movement gained among nationwide support. Well, they misappropriated money from donations, so I'm not going to talk about them. As a woman, she unplugged to escape the collective grief and trauma that her community was experiencing. It was really hard and really heavy, she recalls. I understand. Now, and when you get picked for the highest bench on the Supreme Court in the land, you are going to be subjected to cruelty. It's funny how people remember your past, but they never remember anything you did good. Okay? Just want to give you a heads up on that. More recently, illicit stuff been from the Republican senators and Supreme Court confirmation hearing for judge that was picked felt like a personal attack to many observers, making it difficult to follow the event on social media elsewhere. And licensed psychologist who might go by doctor on social media says that for her, so many followers are hearing so triggering that it could only listen to be in what she calls microdoses. I mean, it is what it is. And that one example how an event was so heavily broadcast on social media unveiled the reality of everyday microaggressions. It's a breeding ground for this, okay? It doesn't stop just because we're out of the vortex or of social media. We continue to experience this daily. This is how you use it. You can use it for the positive, or you can use it for the negative, and you can use it with two ways to have both outcomes. Okay. The psychological risk associated with social media depends on how we engage with it. Amen. It's going along with what I just said. It depends on how you use social media. For me, I bring awareness of what people do on social media can actually come back and haunt them. Follow me? So much of the debate over, okay, I'm going to go ahead and highlight this while I'm reading. Okay, much of the much of the debate over social media's potential hinges on lack of evidence to prove its direct cause of mental health problems. Recent study from the University of Pennsylvania, okay, suggests that we who follow and what we do, how long we spend on social media is key to preserving overall well-being. Okay, doctor and her fellow researchers set up an experiment with 88 undergraduates found that participants developed with depressive symptoms, okay, and the ones who started following actual friends versus acquainted strangers limited social media to 60 minutes a day had significant improvements in self-reported well-being compared to those who did not. So, can you engage in social media and not have negative implications? Of course you can. Of course, right here, this shows right here, according to the doctors and researchers. Now, okay, social media with its abundance of imperfection gives us the autonomy of share our passions and our voices. Even from a mental health perspective, just look at the fleeting viral trends like my therapist told me to hashtag on TikTok. I don't do TikTok. In these videos, you'll find everyday people sharing tidbits of their experience in therapy, some which are humorous, other with tips on things that make a difference in their lives, simply but destigmatizing a way to talk about mental health and the importance of seeking help. And yes, mental health is a real thing. Okay? Then there's the emergence of a mental health influencer, which can include licensed mental health professionals, plenty of life coaches, and people who have amazed large following for sharing their personal struggles. Those who are genuine in their intention to inspire have made it possible for people to access free information, enlightening conversation. So that's doctor right there, okay? Now, it's just pretty much common sense based. Okay, this is all pretty much common sense based, okay? And there are also CEO, self-proclaimed experts and advocates who have no business giving out medical framed psychological advice. Okay, this just a position licensed pro versus life coach or a healer with a phone further highlights. We need to curate our feeds intentionally. That's why doctors says that social media is a double-edged sword in our time. Okay, for him the question becomes how do we sharpen all the positive while dulling the possible negatives? There's both out there on social media, positive and negatives. Okay. Now, doctor proposed that we need a framework to consume our digital media diet in a healthier way, similar to the way food pyramid transform our thinking about what we eat. In order to live a happier life, we don't need to swear off social media completely. We should actively try to mitigate possible downside. Often touted self-care strategies such as setting time limits, turning off notification, can be a great place to start. But such as social media platforms continue to evolve, you may need to get more specific with your emotional boundaries. Keep your emotions off of social media because that can be used against you. There are a few things to think about when doing that. So, now, What I'm bringing awareness right here is to help you look at everything from a perspective, so to speak. Cultivating a safe space. Studies show that involvement in advocacy groups and social justice. Here we go with that social justice warrior, keyboard warriors. It can help people process, channel their feelings in a way that's empowering. And joining a group that shares your value can help you explore certain topics in a way that fits your needs, especially when it comes to sensitive ones that could be potentially triggering. Now, fight comparison syndrome. Now, now right here, this fight comparison syndrome. Okay, what this is right here. Um, Now, what I'm saying right here is when you get people trying to outdo other people, trying to dress and be prettier than the others, please don't do that. You're making a mockery and fool out of yourself. Please don't do that. When people follow people who are mere acquaintances or strangers, like fear of missing out, hell, if I'm man around, it can feel more real. Advice to follow people you met in person and not new. Okay, for why is it illuminating? Why already know the friends that we met in person as well as complete people? So when you see photos from lavish looking vacation in French Riviera, you'll be able to paint a realistic mental picture of how they got there. So instead of, oh, they just obviously obnoxiously loaded, don't just go out assuming people just load it. This could help you feel happy for them, which is healthier than, say, inadequate or resentful as you scroll through their beautiful photos. Actually, any photo you put on social media becomes a property of the social media company that you're on. And they can use that without compensation to you. That's another thing you need to take another hard look at. If it don't mean nothing to you, then share it. Okay? Then by all means, share it. But if it means a lot to you, then I wouldn't share it. I'd keep it off. Consider your negativity threshold. Negativity bias is known as a psychological concept that refers how negative events are experienced. More powerful than positive ones, it seeps in the digital world. If one person, real or not, in the case of a bot, misinterprets something you say on social media, you would think about it for the next 3 days, and every time you publish a post, you need to ask yourself, how willing are you to offend or irritate? Such negativity you're willing to take, and the answers or questions should guide you plan to engage with your feeds. That's very important to take a good look at this. So I'm fixing to incorporate another controversial topic to bring awareness to illicit activities going on. All right? And I'm going to mask the words to keep the algorithm from flagging this video. Okay? I'm going to use fancy words to help bring out what you need to see and what you need to read and all that. Identify the experts. Like talk about mental health on social media can be powerful. I urge you to be cautious of whom you trust as a mental health advocate. There are a lot of them out there. So when in doubt, just go to your licensed clinic and talk to a neuropsychologist, because they are the real people. They have expertise. They have knowledge. They have training in dealing with mental health situations. Just keep it off of social media. You can't. You cannot. I repeat, you cannot let somebody pre-diagnose you on social media. That's stupid. That's foolish. Okay? All right, and it can be, and also, especially if they tend to overgeneralize their advice, which can lead to misinformation. And no, not every ex is a narcissist. Not everyone is gaslighting you. But it's possible that they can use what you say against you and twist your words. That's that's a caution right here. Doctor says one simple way to do this is to vet your influencer source by looking at for an L in front of their credentials, licensed professionals with a master level of clinical training such as LPC or LCSW and LMFT, as well as those with a PhD, Doctor of Philosophy, or PsyD, Doctor of Psychology, will be most credible. Got to be careful out there. The social media is a dangerous world. Now, self-care is very important. Idea of social media self-care, no, it is important. Mitigating the potential danger of social media should be solely be left up to individual users. In case of children and teens, to their parents, some resources include doctors argue that minimum age for social media should be start between 16 to 18 as a minimum age. I agree with that. So the current minimum age of 13 is a random selection in ways development to the worst possible time. Should start between 16 and 18 for real. I mean, this makes now I'm going to go ahead and read this. The doctor, however, says he's more concerned about how some tech companies seem to be trying to avoid the responsibility for some of their content and marketing tactics. Take Facebook, for example. Reported by a Wall Street Journal, a whistleblower revealed the company has been quietly studying how its apps have the potential to worsen young girls' self-esteem. Yet the company has not made its internal findings public for lawmakers and researchers to further investigate. They've been hiding that for the longest, okay? The doctor argues that proposing parental controls for social media can be viewed as a way to deflect blame to parents, on similar how big tobacco did 2 decades ago. Am I making any sense? When launched, series of parent-focused ads, titles like "Could your kid be smoking?" Doctors said particular campaign helped pit parents and children against each other. This right here, that's one reason why he and a 15-year-old daughter wrote opt for the Chicago Tribune, arguing social media giants should be held responsible for their actions and products. It's an idea already taking hold. State prosecutors and bipartisan lawmakers are proposing new era of big tech accountability, from eliminating broad legal protections to strengthening federal regulations. Okay? Now, in a capacity, social media is undeniable here to stay for the unforeseeable future as we consider research and grapple with its consequences for our emotional well-being and wait for the government to follow through with the true reform. The onus will continue following users to turn self-care into self-discipline. And that's going to be your best bet right there. That's ultimately happily That's the ultimate what happened for Lucky. Her social media restraint includes healthy boundaries, digital detoxing, nature hikes, include books and journaling with no phone in sight, swapping or scrolling time with meditation and yoga is an escape and out, she says. Of course, social media, there are healthier outlets. She's right about that. Now, we already know that this here, we covered this. Now, I sent an appropriate picture one time and almost ruined my life. All right. I'm going to blow this up so I can see what I'm looking at. Now, I'm not sure everyone knows about the issue when it comes to inappropriate or sharing photos. We all been warned, we heard it a million times. You never know what a person will do when a relationship ends. Trust me on this. We also seen countless celebrities become the victims of hacks exposing their images to the world, yet this remains the biggest part of the culture with teens and young adults. So yes. Now, I'm not here to tell you what you should and should not do. It's no one's business, it's a choice but your own. But I'm going to tell you that everyone is right. You have an idea, know what can happen. It can go horribly wrong when you snap that photo, that image. Okay? There's nothing safe even taking photos. Okay? I should know it happened to me when I was under the age of adult and been dating my then boyfriend for quite some time. We had a good relationship. I trusted him completely. Listen, don't trust anybody. If they have a mobile phone or a computer, don't trust them. He started trying to talk me into doing illicit stuff, and I wasn't really comfortable. It started out innocently enough. It turned into a prank. Then it took more and more to please him. I don't know why I let myself get talked into something I didn't want to do. I will always regret it. But I was out there floating around. But in fact, I sent images and sent them willingly. All it takes is one time, and they'll blow up all over cyberspace. And there are criminals out there on cyberspace. I only did it once. All it takes is one time, and boom, your reputation will be ruined. And a few weeks later, the relationship person sent a message. My phone got stolen at the gym. First, I assumed he was just telling me because it stanked, but it glued in the pictures. My heart dropped. My stomach twisted a million knots. Let me ask you this. Would you let somebody see you bare? I pray to God you don't. Please tell me you didn't save those photos. I did. I'm sorry. Huh. That ain't... So, just like that, my life changed. His phone had a lock. I don't care if it's an Android or Apple. That sucker can be hacked. All you got to do is have the right equipment, right program, right operating system. It can be penetrated. His phone had a lock. We all know nothing is perfectly safe. Nothing is unstoppable. Maybe someone just took it to throw it in the river to be horrible. Maybe they just reset it so they can get in and use it as their own. Everything would be deleted right away, but truthfully, I had no idea. My face wasn't in the photos. It would be easy to figure out who they were. Suddenly, being a carefree person wasn't an option anymore. I had to wait and worry about what was to come. Alright? My mind reeled at every moment, knowing I could be exposed in the world in a way I'm not okay with. I feel like the photos have not yet surfaced. I have been, hurt. I had to deal with the knowledge that my reputation could be destroyed any second. That's all it takes is one time. I waited in agony for months, wondering if the photos could be exposed. I had no idea what would happen, what the consequences could be. Day in, day out, when my parents, what would they think? No, your parents would be horrible. They would be horrified. What would my friends say? What would my school do? Could I even get into college? Oh, wow. Are you now realizing this? If this had turned into a big thing, what kind of a job would ever hire me? Ooh, my. Is this even legal? Could I get in trouble? Let me tell you something. This, my friend, is not recommended to do. This is not recommended to do at all. Everyone is going to see it. And this back and forth went on for a month. Thankfully, nothing happened. I began to calm down. I wasn't sure if the photos were ever found, or whoever found them just chose not to share them publicly. It's been 4 years. The photos did not come out. Maybe whoever stole the phone didn't know who it belonged to, didn't know the photos were me. Unlikely it was stolen at our school gym. Maybe just shared it with a friend, never felt the need to the whole world to see. Maybe they kept them for themselves. I will never know. It bothers the hell out of me. It should. It should bother you. I don't think about it anymore. It stayed there in the back of my mind. I never did it again. Choose not to tell anyone about what happened. One of my best kept secrets, I kept it that way. But sharing the story is important. People need to be aware there are real risks they may have never considered. Hey, you know what? I need to bring this out because this right here is not good. I knew sending photos wasn't safe. I knew the same way every teenager does. I knew it was a problem for other people, but I was immune to hacks. I could trust my boyfriend. Don't trust anybody. If they talk into something, doing something that you're not comfortable, they're not your friend. They should not even be your boyfriend. You should have dumped them and went your own way. But never in a million years imagine what could happen to me. So any time when I had a chance to talk about illicit activity with friends, no matter how old they were, I've always tell them not to. I don't want to talk about what happened to me at that same time. I don't want it to happen to anyone else. All right? If it wasn't important, would we talk about it? But it is. People have gone to prison for things that they perceive just for fun. Everyday news is breaking about people being charged with illegal activities and going to prison, such as Jared Fogle, we used to be a CEO of Subway. We're quick to comment on how disgusting the individual are, but do you realize if you are not an adult by the state standards and doing that of yourself illicit, you are guilty of you are breaking the law. Did you know you're breaking the law too as under the adult age? Or that person who received those images is guilty of possession? Maybe that boyfriend needs to have a good rude awakening. Yeah. Don't do this. Going to jail is nothing compared to the consequences of some teens face. Young people have died or have been deleted due to photos of themselves being shared or distributed against their will. The shame and mocking that comes with it has not been enough to result in many underage of people taking their own lives. One prevalent case of this would be deletion of Amanda Todd, a 15-year-old from BC who was blackmailed with photos to the point she could not take it anymore. Wow. Are you listening to this? I had to mask some of the words. Okay, I had to mask it. Listen. No matter who you send them to, know that whatever you send to one person could fall in the hands of anyone you ever known easier than you think. It's not about trust. It's not about you and him. It's about you and yourself. You don't owe anyone anything, especially when it puts you at risk. Never do anything you do not want to do, and think about the consequences of your actions. Did you know that? Did you know this? Now, 7 consequences of under adult illicit activity. I'm going to mask this. I am going to mask this. Okay, this would produce it. So, if you think the trend of illicit activity is troubling, just list some of the attitudes beneath adults have about it. Many beneath adults shrug and say, no big deal. Yes, it is a big deal. Legally, it is a big deal. Nothing could really happen. Oh, yes, it can. A recent study on people and technology reported 90% of people who have illicit activity have no negative consequences ever came from it. Count your lucky stars. There's a legal ramification for this. Did you know that? Innocent or not, laws in many states prohibit images of like this being taken. People think they're invincible. Get that crap out of your head. I had a good friend of mine of 17 years thought he was invincible and nothing can happen to him. And he got an alcoholic fatality and he's resting in peace, so to speak. That nothing bad will happen to him. Oh, another person, underage person, said the same thing. And she was attacked at a party under the influence of alcohol and drugs. Okay? Now, if this describes your underage person, talk with about the 7 consequences of illicit activity, of illegal activity that could make them regret hitting send. Okay? It It could easily be shared with people you do not intend to share with. For example, let's say they they don't say it's a big deal. I mean, he might forward to one or two of his friends behind your back, thinking that you have their full trust. I said don't trust anybody. And who'll forward a few and more so on before somebody else used that phone could stumble across by accident. The recipient could also decide to spread it around if they get mad at you. Whoa! That's called blackmail. That's called blackmail right there. It might go viral if it's shared in cyberspace. You have lost all control of it. It could be posted and reposted in many numerous places, including websites where anyone with a web connection could download it and save it for their own use. Didn't I tell you that if your pictures hold precious value, keep them offline, because once you share it, you have no ownership, no say, no nothing. You could get a bad reputation. Oh, you're invincible, right? You're nothing going to happen to you, right? Listen, wrong. Wrong. So you got illicit images of yourself floating around school. It will raise eyebrows. Not in a good way. Some people will like looking at the images, but they won't respect the subject of the photos, i.e., you. They won't believe you. Oh, grown-ups could see it. Um, Image message could lose to be seen by your parents, teachers, coaches, or the people you babysit for. How mortifying. Huh? Not to mention the legal consequences, which I'm about to talk about next. Legal consequences. There could be legal consequences right here. Taking, sending, forwarding images of anyone under the adult, even yourself, could get you slapped with a penalty of a law passed and charges, and you could be on the then you'll have to register as a you talk about you're invincible, that nothing's going to happen to you, and you're going to have all your you know what I'm trying to tell you is, anyone listening to this here, what I'm trying to tell you is, you think you got it bad and you want to you want to wear your heart on the sleeve and you got it bad. Wait till you get put on the offender registry site for life, and having to pay to register. And if you don't pay, they'll issue a warrant and arrest you and put you back in jail for failure to register. And if you keep getting arrested after arrested after arrested, all it takes is one time. And the law never forgives. And the state where you reside will never forgive and forget. Once they got their hook on you, it's for life. Only way to get out of it, I don't know what to tell you. Oh, you could get in trouble at school. Many schools suspend kids for illicit activities and reserve the right to confiscate phones if they have a reason to believe there are pictures of someone that's not adult on them. And they could call the police on you. They could call the law enforcement agency on you. Let me go ahead and cover this, okay? Think of having to go to court to fight the charges and to be put on the registry by the judge, by the state. Think about that. Okay. Here's another thing that could happen. It could backfire using a image intending to impress or interest someone, but it could turn them off instead. They may get the wrong impression of you, the exact opposite of what you wanted. It's true that some kids do indeed get away with it. If you could get lucky and their image could be discreetly deleted, that nothing bad goes happen. That's why risk it. Let me ask you something. Do you think just going out being a bad kid and I'm a minor, I can go out and I can steal from Walmart and nothing will happen? I'm a minor. And then all of a sudden, they take you to the secluded area of the store, take a picture of you, your face, get your information, where you live and everything, and we try to go apply for a job in the future to go get work, and come to find out what your past will come back and haunt you. Why risk it? These 7 consequences are serious business. And underage people should think through all of them and make a decision not to send or share explicit images of anyone or themselves or other people. All right? I don't know what that is, but anyways, this concludes about the distrust, the stages of distrust on people. All right? This concludes it. I had to compile everything into one video. And I had to mask words to help protect the audience. All right? I just hope you take the momentum to understand what I'm trying to tell you here. All right? Anyways, I'm glad you got a chance to watch this video, and peace.